Okay, I'm gonna stay close to this mic over here so that you guys can hear me. But I just got my nails done today and I knew I had to film a video because I don't want to put nice new nails, fresh nails, let them go to waste. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, not that you care, but this is the first time I'm trying those dip nails. I don't know, they're supposed to be absolutely impenetrable, but I'll report back. So I hosted a call the other day inside of Jess Very Good Mothers Club. If you don't know who she is, I'll leave all her details down below. You should go and follow her because in my mind, she's like the mother of all mothers. She loves moms. She's a mom herself, but she and I together are really on a mission to serve moms. And I was guest hosting her weekly call that she does, her weekly coaching call. And we were talking about what we do when we feel overwhelmed and overstimulated and under supported. And it really got me thinking because something came up in that call that I think we need to talk about. So today we're going to talk about all of the shoulds. But first, if you're new here, hello, I'm so happy to have you here. My name is Julie and I specialize in helping moms navigate through challenging seasons. I help them come out feeling more calm, in control, and more confident in their parenting. I feel like we have lost our connection to our intuition in modern society, and often the answers are in us, right there, but we can't always access them. So I like to help moms figure out what is right for them and their families and to feel confident doing it. My goal is to help moms raise resilient and respectful kids and, help support this future generation because we all know that we really need that. Anyway, back to the video, the shoulds. So what is a should? Okay, complete this sentence. I should be, So an example could be, I should be more patient with my children. Maybe I should speak more kindly with my kids. I should be more loving. I should be more involved. I should be more playful. I should be more careful about what they eat. I should be stricter about sleeping because it's so important for their development and growth. Maybe I should just chill out. Anything is a should. I don't know if being in the should mindset is the healthiest thing for us as moms. I think that the should has kind of come up through societal expectations. And as moms, we have shouldered that burden. And what I'm realizing now, as I say shoulder the burden, that has should in it as well. It's everywhere. But the thing is, if we take on that blame and torture ourselves for being the reason why our kids don't do X, Y, Z, whatever, then nothing really comes out of that. First of all, we just feel guilty. We get into a downward mental spiral. Nothing really changes. And we're just wasting a lot of mental energy and peace that we could be using for a much better purpose. What I want you to think about when you are feeling guilty about things that you've done in the past or just the way that your family is kind of playing out right now is that perhaps it's not all your fault. Perhaps it's the environment in which we find ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. One of my core values is, if it can even be considered a value, but taking responsibility for my happiness, my actions, being accountable and teaching that to my children. I do not like a victim mindset. I don't like how it makes me feel when I play the victim or when I have in the past. And it doesn't get us anywhere. It absolutely disempowers you to have a victim mindset. So I'm not saying that we abdicate responsibility. Hear me loud and clear. I'm saying that society was never really intended to be this way in terms of allowing moms and parents to thrive. We live in very isolated chambers in the West, and it just makes it so hard for moms to feel at peace a lot of the time. It is so easy to be overstimulated with social media especially, but just the busyness of modern life. There's so many memes about, especially now because we're entering the end of school's time and we're going into summer, I just see all of these people on the internet talking about their lists of things they have to do. Like the 90s kid, it was like, okay, you're going to be on your own for the next 10 weeks of the summer and you're going to ride your bike to your friends and maybe we'll go on like a short road trip as a family and go camping. Now it's activities, it's extra lessons, it's birthday parties, it's fancy elaborate trips whilst parents are still trying to work and do the daily tasks and just nuts. I actually made a whole video about our personal experience of mayhem this past month. I'll have it linked up here somewhere and down below, but it's all about how I've overscheduled myself. And inevitably, I probably have overscheduled my children as well, but it is just kind of commonplace. It's kind of what we do nowadays. It's so normal that we don't really question it. But I want you to think about the fact that if you are feeling overwhelmed and burdened, it might not be you, and it's because we're parenting alone a lot of the time. I feel like whatever you consider modern parenting, probably from like the 70s, 80s, 90s onward, it's just gotten more intense. Those parents and that culture and society sort of set the ball rolling, and we have just perpetuated it. We've bought into it, we've accepted it. There has been this surplus of people online, it feels like, pushing back with a slow parenting movement or a slow life movement, but I think statistically it's probably a very small portion of us that have adopted that off-the-grid lifestyle. It's not feasible for most of us to just remove ourselves from society for so many reasons. And so how can we still find joy and peace in parenting and still convey the values that we want to our children, still help them be the best they can be and thrive, and not like kind of kill ourselves in the process? Because at the end of the day, if we don't look after ourselves, at least in some capacity, how are we going to look after our children? All right, so some of the things that we discussed in this call and some of the things you can expect if you were to join one of the calls is, how can we feel more supported? What are strategies that are in our control right now? You know, I have done my own kind of coaching and therapy throughout the years, and one of the things that has come up is this element of control. I always want to control everything, and I think a lot of us do. I think it's a normal human tendency to not want to be told what to do and to control those around us, and we love to give advice but not necessarily receive it, right? And what I like to think about, and this is what a coach has shared with me, is that if you stand on the floor and you draw an imaginary circle around your feet, and please go ahead and draw it with chalk if that's more helpful to you, everything inside that circle you are responsible for. And I would go as far as to say, as if you can pick up your child and hold them in there, you're responsible. If they can stand inside that circle with you, they are in your realm, you are kind of in control of them. Everything outside of that circle, including your spouse, including your mother-in-law, including your best friend, they can't fit inside that circle. And so therefore, you are not responsible for them and you can't control them. So at the end of the day, it's about relinquishing that and just accepting reality and having such inner peace when you know that it's not your problem. And it was never intended to be. So some of the advice that we discussed as a group, and why I love group coaching, is that people will draw from their own experiences and give advice that has been helpful to them. It's not just me always offering advice, or me as the coach, but something that we did talk about was, what are your triggers when you start to feel overwhelmed? Because I feel like if you can identify yourself getting worked up and pattern interrupt, you're gonna break a lot of that typical habit or cycle that you would pursue. So imagine you've had a long day, it's maybe 5 o'clock, it's dinner time, it's arguably one of the most stressful times of the day, if not the most stressful, and your kids are whining and doing normal kid things that they have been put on this earth to do, and you start to feel, for me, like you start to get like a little hot, you know, you're getting like a little irritated. Can you stop then and be like, okay, I feel overwhelmed. This is my nervous system telling me that I'm overwhelmed, and I don't want to, you know, snap at my children or shout at my spouse or say something I might regret or seem short with everybody. I want to be more in control of my emotions, but I can feel I'm getting a rise. What can I do? And so some of the things that we spoke about whilst identifying triggers, like one person said that she gets a little short with her kids, or someone else might be like, I'll just do it myself kind of thing. And these are all normal human responses. And I don't want you to self-blame. There's no point in saying I'm a terrible person, because anyone in that situation would feel overwhelmed, would feel at the end of their rope. It's totally normal to lose your patience. It's a human emotion. So some of the suggestions that came out of that was to go for a walk if that's possible. Obviously if you've got young kids, you need someone else there to look after them. If you don't have someone else, I always find that taking my kids outside, changing the environment, especially if you can get fresh air and be in nature, that's going to change the whole vibe and just help everybody on so many levels, help everybody sleep better as well, which is always going to be better. Another thing could be to just try and take a moment away. Like, are your kids playing, or can they be left alone for a second and you can go to your bedroom? Could you take a shower? Again, a lot of this depends on having another adult around, and because we don't parent in groups anymore, we're often alone. I know for me, I'm often on my own with my kids, and that's really lonely and isolating. If you're unable to leave and remove yourself from the situation, something that I have found helpful is just to even voice what I'm saying. I had a friend reach out to me yesterday via text. So we're not together, we're not in person, no one else is around. She's just texting me and she's ranting about her day. Nothing to do with her kids. It was just how she was feeling. And she's like, thank you. I just needed to get it out. And for me, I process things verbally. I think a lot of people do, especially women. And sometimes just almost saying these things out loud helps to release them. I have lots of friends all over the world. We don't get to see each other very often, but one way that we stay in communication is through voice noting, and I find I feel a lot better after doing that because I feel connected. I feel like I have a community. And for me, the most challenging thing, or one of the most challenging things of parenting, was always feeling alone. Even though I'm surrounded by little people that need me and want me all the time, I feel so lonely because I don't have another adult there. And so this is a way we can use technology to our advantage, and instead of scrolling Instagram and feeling bad and then modeling that to our children, we can reach out to people. Can you FaceTime? Can you call somebody? If you're not going to do this live, can you send them a voice note? I find this really, really helpful. Something else that came up was this mom guilt around the witching hour, the end of the day. So picture the scenario and let me know if this might be you. But let's just say your kids go to school for a majority of the day or a chunk of the day, and you're working and you're doing your own thing, and then they come home at say 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever it is, and you're so excited to see them because you've missed them, it's been the whole day. But then as soon as they get home, you're like, oh my gosh, this is intense. Like, you've gone from a nice peaceful day, perhaps if you've had some kind of childcare, to crazy town. So maybe it's the same when your child's been napping and they wake up and it's like that transition back to reality, or you've had a babysitter looking after your child if you're lucky enough to do that. And now you have to transition back to the stimulation, the hyperstimulation of children. And for me, I used to make this mean something. I used to make the fact that between 4 and 8 o'clock, whatever the evening hours are, when I didn't want to be around my children, or I found it hard, it wasn't that I didn't want to be around them, but I found it challenging. Like, why was this not just so streamlined? I haven't seen them all day. I should be a better mom than this. I would create so much guilt. I would create a big story around this. And what I've realized is that's not helping anybody. Not only am I robbing the time I do have with them, but I'm also not acknowledging that parenting is hard. It's also the end of the day for me. I've been focused on other things as well. And my kids are also coming to the end of their day. We're getting ready to wind down, but usually we wind up before we wind down. Everyone's a little tired, maybe hungry, maybe cranky, maybe something happened in your day that didn't make you feel good. Who knows? Maybe it's the end of the week. This is Friday and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm so tired. Maybe hormonally you're not feeling your best. It doesn't matter. You don't need to make it mean anything. You just need to acknowledge that it's tough. And if there are ways that you can make that a little bit easier, that period of time where you do feel more tested than usual, why not do that? So something else that was shared is this idea that when you are away from your kids, so let's assume your kids do go to some kind of school or daycare, have a nanny, or you're at work and so they're doing their thing, that if there's a way for you to fill yourself up so that you are more prepared, more rested to spend time with them and set everybody up for success. So I think this can look different for different people. Often going to work, whilst this can be very challenging when you have young kids, but it does provide some adult social interaction for you that you're not going to get with children. So that kind of cup can be filled. It might also provide some intellectual stimulation. You might also feel good because you are financially supporting your family. Okay, what if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're not working a regular job? Could you find time, or can you organize time where you can work out? Can you take a nap? I know this is not always possible. Maybe you only have nap time to do these things. Something else we spoke about on the call was that during nap time, you are trying to do everything. You're trying to do the most because you want to set yourself up for success when your kids wake up. You want to have the dishes done, the laundry done, the house picked up, so that you can be present with your children. And 100%, yes, you do. But what I have also found, and I don't think I'm alone in sharing this, because I have found many seasoned moms on the internet. I'm going to link Susie from Busy Toddler if you don't know her account. She's amazing. She agrees with me on this. So something I found was that when my kids were young, I felt this pressure to be their playmate, especially if you only have one child. And I didn't enjoy it. I mean, part of me did. It's very cute, but it gets boring really fast, if I'm being honest. And maybe it's just me. But I'm just like not the best at playing with a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old all day long. As they get older, this can change, but essentially, I am not 2 years old, I'm not 5 years old, we're gonna have different interests. And if I'm purely playing for the joy of my child, that is fine up until a point. So what I suggested to this mom that I know stays at home with her kids and is finding it hard to do all of the things and not feel guilty about spending time with her children and not feeling irritated. I personally believe that you can drop the guilt around not playing with your children. I don't think you need to, but this is up to you. I think you can do chores in front of them, and I think you can show them what it takes to run a home. You'll be building skills. You can incorporate them into helping around the house, which is super important for their self-esteem and helping them feel like they're part of a pack. It's very important for them. And then when they are napping, you rest as well. So I would use nap time as a time where only things that I could do without my child, I would do. So maybe that's working out, because then I can work out uninterrupted, and that's good for me and my mental health and physical health. Maybe that's taking a 30-minute nap because I'm tired and I feel like I need that. Maybe it's having a meeting or a phone call or something. It really will depend, and I hope that if you are in a situation where you are a stay-at-home mom without any additional help and nap time is really your only break until your child goes to bed at night, I hope you will use at least some of that time for yourself so that you can feel like you have done something for you. But there are so many creative ways to get what you need a little bit prior to putting your kids first all the time. Whether that's waking up earlier than them or getting your spouse to trade off with you. You know, usually it takes 2 to have a baby, so hopefully there's someone there helping you in some capacity. And so you should take advantage of that and communicate that, because what happens if you don't is massive resentment. And I've seen this play out in a lot of different scenarios. It could be that dad comes home from work and he doesn't recognize how much you've done all day, and you kind of get that vibe and you feel resentful because what you're doing is not sexy, it's not flashy, it's not earning an income, but you're raising your children and you're imparting your values onto them and you're raising the future generation of society. There's nothing more important than that. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't have to be you raising them, but the person that is raising them, that is an incredibly important job. Okay, but it's definitely not viewed like that in society, and it's not always viewed like that in people's individual homes. And so it can be really hard because what you're doing, you might not enjoy doing. You might not enjoy doing laundry. You might not enjoy keeping your home organized. It might feel very mundane for you and something that you're not into, but it contributes to the whole family unit. You know, I do not like cooking dinner. It is not my thing, but I gotta do it. I signed up to do it, I gotta do it. So, you know, it's just that kind of thing. Or you have resentment where I've seen this happen, your kids are grown up and they didn't end up the way you wanted them to be. Like maybe something went terribly wrong with how they were raised or just how they grew up and their path in life. And one spouse will blame another spouse because it was that mom, that spouse's role to raise kids in a certain way, and they weren't successful as human beings in his opinion or whatever. If you understand what I'm saying. And then there's massive resentment for that because she's not going to feel supported, he's going to blame her. It's a total disaster. So let's not get to that point, okay? Let's try and identify this for what it is, a challenging season in life where society has probably made it a little bit harder to parent than it has in the past. It doesn't mean that we're helpless. It doesn't mean that we can't ask for help. It doesn't mean that we can't reach out and make friends and parent alongside people. I think that makes parenting just so much more enjoyable, and it's how people are able to have a lot of children. You know, if you're sitting in the situation of like just having one kid and not being able to imagine expanding your family and seeing other people maybe online or maybe in your community that have a lot of kids in your mind, whatever a lot is to you, and you're like, how the heck do they do this? I think they have some hacks that they've worked out. They're not doing it all. Maybe their kids play really well together. Maybe there's a neighbor who has a family that comes over. Who knows? But there's a way that they're doing it that serves them, that is helping them feel more supported. So I want you to voice how you feel. I want you to acknowledge how bonkers this whole situation is. We're supposed to be hunter-gatherers in a cave. We haven't evolved that much. So we're still supposed to be like that. And I want you to abolish the shoulds and take that energy that you're spending on mom guilt and find a friend instead. Something that I would love you to do is consider coaching, consider reaching out to other moms and talking, because and building community, that's going to make you feel so good. And if you are looking for more support, Jess and I are actually about to launch a coaching intensive. I'm so excited about it. We did one of these back in January of this year, and it was so incredible. The transformation of the women in this program was unbelievable. Actually, in a relatively short amount of time, they went from feeling highly emotional, crying, feeling really out of control in these difficult situations with complicated family dynamics, to feeling so much more in tune with their plan, with the way they want to parent, with what they are responsible for, in such a short period of time, in 8 weeks. They were different people from the start to the end, and it was incredible to watch. I feel like I underwent transformation as well, just in my ability to serve and guide them. It was just a really amazing space, and I'm still in touch with some of these women, and they say how much they miss our group. So if you would like to have that experience as well, I will leave all the links down below. Don't forget to go and follow Jess Hover if you don't already on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram as well, and also send me a message if you want to learn more about the program. We're going to be starting pretty soon, so if that is something you're called to do, then make sure you go check out the link down below for more information. Thank you so much for being here. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so we can dive more into these sticky issues of motherhood, because I feel like it's so important. We need to be serving moms. They are the answer to so many of the world's problems. If we got the home right, we wouldn't have nearly as much death and destruction in the world, is my opinion. So make sure you go ahead, subscribe, give this video a like, share it with a mom who might need it, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.